Each of us is a part of a vast, invisible field of energy that contains all possible realities. This field of energy is the fabric of all material things, and it is reactive to the mind. It responds to our thoughts and our feelings. You are made of matter, and matter and energy are completely interchangeable. In fact, if you break matter down, it is made of molecules, which are made of atoms, and those are made of particles, all of which are energy. Atoms are the building blocks of all physical things, but they are mostly empty space, or energy. Therefore, what appears to be solid matter is actually fields of energy, or frequency patterns of information. In other words, an atom is nothing materially, and yet it has the potential to be all things. The properties of a thing are just as important as the thing itself, and understanding those properties puts a person who wants to create something intentionally at a great advantage. All particles are simply oscillations and fields. In fact, every particle is its own field with its own vibration. This means there are infinite ways in which a thing can occur. Everything, including what appears to be solid, is made up of subatomic particles such as electrons. And quantum experiments have demonstrated that electrons exist simultaneously in an infinite array of possibilities and probabilities in an invisible field of energy. In their wave state, electrons are pure potential. But it is only when a person focuses attention on any location of any one electron that the electron appears as matter. When it is observed, it behaves like a particle. When it is not being observed, it behaves as a wave. And a wave is simply a vibration or energy. In other words, a particle cannot manifest in reality as we know it until we observe it. The observer collapses the wave function, or the energetic component, simply by the fact that it is being observed. This is known as the observer effect. When the observer looks for something specific, all probabilities of the electron collapse into a physical event. Listen to this again because it's very important when it comes to intentional manifestation. Something only appears as matter when it is being observed. And this has been proven in quantum experiments that baffle even the most experienced of scientists. It defies what should be, and yet it cannot be disproved. The truth is, energy is influenced by the mind. Consciousness collapses the wave function into actual particles that exist in space and time, and then experiences this energy as matter. Consciousness is the energy that influences energy. In fact, all energy is actually consciousness. Therefore, it is consciousness influencing itself. What this means is, mind and matter are not separate. The mind produces significant changes on what is being experienced in the physical world. Mind and matter are completely intertwined. On a subatomic level, energy responds to attention or observation and becomes matter. From this subatomic level, matter exists as a momentary occurrence. It repeatedly appears and disappears. It appears in the 3 dimension of time and space, and then disappears back into nothing, or the quantum field. It oscillates between particle, or what we know to be matter, and wave, or energy. In other words, the observer effect states that any person can collapse an infinite wave of probability into the reality that they choose. The observer plays the only part there is in creating the reality that he or she is observing. Our thoughts have the very power to shape our reality. And this is how the law of attraction works. What we focus on the dominant amount of time, even if on a subconscious level, is what we get. The observer creates reality simply by observing. The content of your consciousness is reality as you experience it, and this is generally based on patterns that have been developed in the mind over time. Consciousness at its very basic level is the result of observation and information processing. If you allow the outer world to control how you think and feel, it creates patterns in the circuits of your brain that cause you to think in ways that are equivalent to everything that is familiar to you, making a new reality difficult to observe. But consider this. If subatomic particles can exist in an infinite number of possible places simultaneously, we are potentially capable of collapsing an infinite number of possibilities into our reality. In other words, if you can imagine something you want, or a way in which you would like to live, that reality already exists as a possibility that is simply waiting to be observed by you. Because the observer effect states that the mind can influence how an electron appears, then the mind has the power to influence any possibility available. Being that there are an infinite number of possibilities in the quantum field, this field contains a reality wherein you already have everything you currently desire. And we each have the capability to use our mind with focused attention and practice to collapse that reality from wave form into physical form. In fact, you do this all the time, right now even. Energy is shaped by your mind, and when you truly understand this, you will have a new awareness of how important it is to govern your thoughts very closely. We unconsciously live by a set of memorized thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions that run behind the scenes of our conscious awareness. Since we are constantly affecting our reality with observation, it can be very insightful to know how we are observing so we can change it if we don't like what is occurring. The first step is to notice what you are thinking and become self-aware of the types of thoughts that dominate your mind. Take time to just sit and observe a particular situation or place, and notice what types of thoughts come up as you do. Ask yourself if your thoughts are positive or negative regarding how you would like this reality to be. Do you have any victim thoughts that occur during this process? For example, do you believe that something is happening that is or will affect you negatively? Spend about 30 minutes with this exercise at least once a day to become proficient of your thoughts and your awareness. It's important not to judge yourself during this process so you don't add more negative thinking. Fear thoughts often lead to more fear thoughts. Simply realize that you may have a pattern that you are now choosing to change. Noticing the first thoughts of impression lead you into becoming an aware observer. And you're choosing to do so because you now know that the way in which you observe literally creates what you experience. Next, begin to create a new habit of changing your thoughts when you notice that they are recreating things you now choose to let go of as an experience. As previously stated, your thoughts, behaviors, and emotional responses are memorized by your subconscious mind. Realize that this will take some time to change and be patient with yourself. Working on changing the choice of thoughts for each experience makes it habitual within the mind. Instead of automatic thinking that usually happens without you being aware, you can create new automatic ways of thinking and observing that line up with a new reality of your choosing. It is automatic thinking that continuously creates our life. So creating a new habit of observation and awareness is crucial in creating what you want from life. The observer effect is perpetual. It's important to realize that you don't need your outer reality to remind you of who you think you are and what you're capable of experiencing. But until you break away from how you view the parts of your present reality that aren't ideal to you and open yourself to a new interpretation of now, without any form of victim mentality, you will continue to experience many of the things that you already do. We can change everything about our lives by practicing deliberate awareness of our thoughts. The thoughts we place the most attention on become the experience of reality that we have. To create intentionally, it's important to have a solid understanding of who you really are, how you observe your reality, and whether or not your behavior towards yourself and life in general works in harmony with what you authentically want most. Quantum experiments show the proof that we are collapsing the wave of potential possibilities by the way we observe. And the quantum universe simply waits for a conscious observer of any one thing for it to become a physical reality. Your job is to intentionally influence the energy within your mind, or consciousness, which is energy in and of itself. When you learn how to fine-tune your skills of awareness and observation, you can affect your life and your reality in any way you choose and create any experience you wish.